Coming up on the news, explosives more powerful than the bomb used at the Oklahoma City Federal Building, ripped off from a Southland rock quarry. We'll have the latest on a desperate search for those explosives and for the thieves. Plus, is Oprah Winfrey's reign as talk show queen nearing an end? You'll hear what she has to say about that coming up next on the Channel 4 News at 4.
Now, Chuck Henry, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports. Live in Southern California, the Channel 4 News at 4.
Good afternoon. This is a live picture from the O.J. Simpson courtroom. You are looking at Detective Mark Furman as he now confers with his attorney. He is about to take the witness stand in the O.J. Simpson trial for a second time. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chuck Henry.
And I'm Kelly Lang, and for our eyes and ears on the courtroom, we go to Jim Avila. Jim, what's going on?
Well, Kelly, in just a flurry of developments that happened just a few moments ago, as you see in the courtroom right now, as we go back to the courtroom, is Mark Furman. He is standing by to take the witness stand. A couple things to make clear, first of all, is the jury is not in the courtroom right now. And in fact, when Mark Furman takes the witness stand, the jury is not expected to be in the courtroom. Mark Furman is about to take the witness stand to take the Fifth Amendment only. His lawyer has told Judge Ito that he will not answer any questions if called. Now, right now, the final arguments are going on between the attorneys and Judge Ito about what Mr. Furman will be asked. But once again, Furman's attorney has said that he will not answer any questions. Let's listen right now to what's going on in the courtroom down at Judge Lance Ito's courtroom, where Mark Furman has just entered the courtroom to be questioned about searching the Simpson estate.
We would also like, so we don't have any downtime, I've indicated this to counsel earlier, to know who their first rebuttal witnesses are so we can prepare for those. Otherwise, we have downtime on that also.
All right, so your representation is Goulston and Petrino based upon the interviews that you conduct this afternoon.
And Furman, if the court is aware of that, and then plus the Brady motion.
All right. All right, thank you, counsel.
Thank you. We're going to need the rebuttal witnesses also.
As soon as the defense rests.
All right, Mr. Allman, I take it at this point then you wish to recall Detective Furman?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so the record is clear. My recollection is that Detective Furman, who is now present in court with counsel, Mr. Munger, my recollection is that Detective Furman was excused but not released and was subject to recall. Is that your recollection?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right.
He was not excused. It was,
well, let me rephrase that. Subject to recall, excused for the day, subject to recall, not terminated as a witness before the court.
That's correct.
All right.
Further questions don't serve any purpose, since my client has already answered that he will not answer any question and will assert his Fifth Amendment privilege. Anything further can only be a show.
I only have one other question, Your Honor.
What was that, Mr. Allman?
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
All right, based upon the witness's answers, the representation by his counsel, Mr. Munger.
Your Honor, people make an objection to the last question asked the court to strike it as being improper and done for nothing but headlines.
Or will the answer will stand. All right. Ms. Clark, do you have any questions of this witness?
No question.
All right. Then, given the assertion of the Fifth Amendment privilege, we will not conduct any further inquiry as to Detective Furman. But however, Detective, I am going to release you from further attendance this afternoon. However, you are still subject to recall. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Chuck and Kelly, Mark Furman has indeed taken the witness stand without the jury present, being recalled by the defense. What this was about was there was a motion that the defense had been arguing to throw
Counsel,
out
I
the
just wanna make
evidence
sure we
that Mark
preserve
Furman
the
found at
jurisdiction
the
in case there are any other issues that come up.
Mark Furman found at the Brentwood mansion, based upon the fact that Mark Furman had lied in the past about whether or not he indeed had falsified evidence. The defense wanted to call Furman to ask those questions without the jury present, and the judge was warned in advance that he would not answer any questions, and he did not. His lawyer advising him not to and to take the Fifth Amendment.
Based upon the representations of counsel that he's not going to answer any further questions regarding this case.
Your Honor, since he lives without the state, is he free to travel home?
He's sure. All right, with Mr. Munger, please.
So now they're apparently going to find out whether or not Mark Furman is free to travel home. That was the last thing we heard from Mr. Munger, his attorney there.
Yes, and Mr. Furman has been in town now since last week, waiting to see whether or not the defense or the prosecution would call him as a witness. They have called him as a witness. The jury did not have the opportunity to see Mr. Furman at all today. In fact, all this testimony, or the lack of testimony, the Fifth Amendment, was done without the jury present, and was a matter of a defense motion to suppress evidence or to throw out evidence that was found at the Brentwood mansion by Mark Furman and other detectives, based on what the defense says was a habit and a history of Mark Furman falsifying evidence, and therefore he lied about the search warrant itself as well. And the judge is yet to decide that issue, whether or not the evidence will be suppressed or thrown out. But he has allowed Mark Furman to take the witness stand for this motion only at this point, and it does not appear as though he'll come back again to testify in front of the jury.
If you could read O.J. Simpson's lips just a few moments ago when he was shaking his head there and he was mouthing the words, he lied.
All right, Jim Avila, we've got Manny Medrano standing by, our legal analyst. Manny, can you hear us now? Manny Medrano, are you there? All right, he's been having trouble with his IFB. But maybe, Jim, you might have some comments on this. Dean Ullman for the defense asked 3 questions. Was the testimony heretofore in this trial truthful? Mr. Furman, he took the 5th. Have you ever falsified a police report? He took the 5th. And finally, very explosive question, have you planted any evidence in this trial? Again, he took the 5th.
Which I don't believe was all that unexpected, was it, Manny?
No, can you hear me now?
Sure,
I'm
yes,
finally
we
on.
can.
I believe.
Go ahead.
We're seeing here, Chuck and Kelly, is really some tremendously astute lawyering by the defense, because what they've done, and here this shows really the collective abilities of many good lawyers, is they're trying now to attack evidence that has been previously ruled admissible by Judge Ito. You may recall many months ago, Judge Ito denied a defense motion to suppress key evidence found at O.J. Simpson's estate. Well, now, with the advent and the revelations about the notorious Furman McKinney tapes, the defense is coming back at that issue and basically telling Judge Ito, Judge, look, we have further evidence that this man is a liar. You should now take that into consideration and revisit the whole issue of the admissibility of certain items of evidence. That includes the bloody glove, a sock found at O.J. Simpson's estate, some blood drops on the driveway, et cetera, et cetera. It's some really good lawyering, and the bottom line is Mark Furman, at the advice of his counsel, which is sound advice in my view, by the way, he chose to invoke the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination.
And even though it is a right against self-incrimination, we should not assume that the answer to any one of those 3 questions is yes or no. Correct, Manny?
That's exactly right, and I'm glad you flagged that, Kelly, because what I think our viewers have to understand is simply because one invokes the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, one should not infer from that that's what you were about to say is negative or somehow incriminates you in any way. This is a right that you and I have, that every citizen in this country has, and it's put there by the people who obviously wrote the Constitution to protect each and every one of us. Let me say one more thing as well, by the way. You may recall Darrell Munger, the attorney for Furman, said at the outset, look, Judge, I haven't had this material, I haven't reviewed it, I need the tapes, the transcripts. How can I possibly advise my client, Mark Furman, without access to all those materials.
Right.
That was a very sound position, and as a result, I think the client, Mark Furman, and his lawyer were between a rock and a hard place. They could not properly answer these questions without first reviewing all the underlying tapes and the transcripts and having some idea of the types of questions that the defense wanted to ask.
Manny, stick around if you can for a moment or two. And while the attorneys are at conference there with Judge Ito, as we see on the screen now, let's go back up to Jim Avila, who can give us kind of a wrap-up of all that went on today in court. Of course, we just saw the last 5 or 6 minutes of court today. Let's go back up to Jim.
Well, Chuck, while indeed the jury itself did not see Mark Furman today, they heard a lot about him. Today, the mostly African-American Simpson jury heard from a black man who had looked into the eyes of a racist cop, a man arrested by Mark Furman, who said he was belittled because of his color by Furman. Inflammatory testimony the judge says is relevant because Mark Furman claimed he has not called anyone by the N-word in some 10 years. The Simpson defense team may have called its last witness. Roderick T. Hodge may indeed be one of the most explosive. He is the first black man to say he was the actual subject of racial abuse from Detective Mark Furman.
You tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what Officer Furman said to you on this date in January of 1987.
Yes, sir. At the time, Officer Furman turned around, looked at me, and told me, "I told you we'd get you, nigger."
Did you hear what you heard him clearly?
Very clearly, sir.
And when he said this to you, can you describe for us the tone of voice that he used?
Anger, hatred, just something from deep inside, if you would, just very ugly.
Hodge says he was in the back of a patrol car. Mark Furman was in the passenger seat, his partner behind the wheel driving back to the police station. Hodge had been arrested for suspicion of cocaine possession and assault, but was later acquitted of both charges.
Can you describe for the jury how you felt? Oh.
Belittled, scared, very, very angry. I could use many more adjectives, but...
There have now been 4 separate witnesses to the racial bias of former Detective Mark Furman. All heard him use the N-word. Kathleen Bell heard a diatribe on interracial couples. Natalie Singer heard Furman describe what he called the pleasure of beating blacks. Laura Hart McKinney tape-recorded 41 instances of the N-word usage by Furman in preparation for a screenplay. And Hodge was the first witness who had actually been called an N by Furman.
Mr. Hodge, is there any doubt in your mind that in the month of January of 1987, Detective Furman referred to you as a nigger?
Sir, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Is that something you'd forget?
Something you don't forget.
Prosecutors kept the cross-examination of Hodge brief, but surprisingly went after screenwriter Laura Hart McKinney. Christopher Darden criticizing her for allowing Mark Furman to use the N-word repeatedly and then trying to profit from it by selling her screenplay.
I think it's one of the most vile words in the English language, yes.
You think they're worse?
Yes, I certainly do. Why are we having this adversarial relationship? I don't understand that. It's a vile word. Why do I have to define it more so than it is?
You wrote a screenplay, right?
That's accurate.
Did you use that word in the screenplay?
Yes.
Did you attempt to go out and sell that screenplay?
Certainly.
Now, what's going on back in court right now, as we go back to the live courtroom camera, is that the attorneys are now talking about what's next. It does appear as though the Simpson defense team has reached the end of its witness list, except for a couple of notable exceptions. One, of course, being Mark Furman, whom the defense are trying to force to testify, but it doesn't look as though that's going to happen. And, of course, O.J. Simpson, who is unlikely to take the stand in any event. But just a few moments ago, the defense, you see Robert Shapiro standing there, did say that they are still interviewing some witnesses, and there may be more witnesses to testify tomorrow, witnesses we had not heard of before, witnesses they are still interviewing. The judge has told the jury that they hope that the defense will be done with their case by the end of the week. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Jim Avila. Now back to you, Chuck and Kelly.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much. We're going to take a break now, and then we'll be back with continuing coverage of this explosive day in the O.J. Simpson courthouse.
Well, now that we're changing from KNBC to NBC4, it's our job to get rid of all these Ks. Good luck.
Why do they think we got time to do this?
Because the weather never changes and our football teams have left town.
Okay, hey, maybe Kelly Lang would take some. She uses Ks.
Great idea.
And Wendy Takuda.
2 brains are better than 1, Fred.
And Paul Moyer.
There is no K in Moyer.
It's silent.
Hey!
Make that one brain.
Hey, where you want the next 10 loads of cake?
For hours, looking down at us, drifting, opium. I'm watching us. I'm a man. You're a woman. It's our secret, but you're wearing it. Opium, for those who adore Yves Saint Laurent.
Indulge in the secret fascinations of opium. This 4-piece gift of $32 value is yours with any opium purchase of $40 or more. Available now at the Broadway.
Are you frustrated and trying to buy a new car but can't because of bankruptcies, judgments, repossessions, bad credit, no credit at all? No problem. $500 delivers you a new car or truck at Foothill Nissan. Hey, we financed over 35,000 customers with credit problems. Come see the Second Chance people at Foothill Nissan. 3333 Foothill Boulevard in La Crescenta, or call us 687-7000. Come see the Second Chance people at Foothill Nissan.
Recently, an independent research study determined Lucky means low prices to more shoppers than any other full-service supermarket.
Where do you find the really big savings at Lucky?
That's called a key buy.
The key buys. What is a key buy? Key buy is good value. Saves me lots of money. How much money can I save on a key buy?
Up to 35%.
What brings you to the Lucky today? Obviously, the key buys. Lucky shoppers save more than $3 million a week on key buy.
Really? $3 million a week?
Another reason why Lucky means low prices.
Anybody seen my keys?
Well, we're going to show you the mug shot seen around the world. Divine Brown here, and Hugh Grant, the Hollywood prostitute, the actor, and the act that made her infamous. Now Divine Brown has entered a plea in connection with her brief encounter with Hugh Grant in a car back in June. But that's not the escapade that got her a jail sentence. And Gordon Takamatsu is in the newsroom now with the full story on that for us. Gordon?
Well, Chuck, the judge reached way back in Divine Brown's arrest record today, sentencing her for violating probation and failing to appear in court on the old charges. That left her with some jail time to serve, plus a fine and community service for her night out with Hugh Grant.
Are you entering the plea freely and voluntarily?
And with that, Estella Thompson, also known as Divine Brown, pleaded no contest. The charge, lewd conduct. It was the final chapter in Thompson's journey from the hooker who embarrassed Hugh Grant to the entertainment personality she is today. Here's how the sentencing breaks down between them. She gets 180 days in jail, 2 years probation, a $1,300 fine along with community service and AIDS education. Hugh Grant, who also pleaded no contest, gets 2 years probation and a fine over $1,000. While their treatment may seem unequal, Thompson's attorney did admit that part of her sentence stemmed from a probation violation 2 years ago. Some feminists, though, aren't buying it.
Well, it's a part of the problem of the inequity, is she has an arrest record because women are arrested and men aren't. I don't think that this was Mr. Grant's first foray onto the streets of Hollywood any more than it was Ms. Brown's.
Whatever controversy may still follow Thompson, though, she seems to be taking things in stride. Radio and TV offers continue to roll in, and she basks in the glow of celebrity. She told reporters she's still looking for movie roles.
Good roles. Dramatic. Sexual, the good stuff.
Now, once again, Estella Thompson got jail time for previous offenses and not the Hugh Grant episode. Still, Thompson was not complaining about her sentence. She's scheduled to go to jail November 2nd. Chuck? Kelly?
All right, thanks very much, Gordon. Now we're going to go back to the O.J. Simpson courthouse, where just minutes ago, Mark Furman, Detective Furman, took the stand and in answer to 3 key questions asserted his right to the Fifth Amendment and indicated with his attorney, Daryl Munger, that he will assert his rights to the Fifth Amendment at whatever question is asked. We're going back up to Jim Avalo, who has been watching the proceedings carefully downtown. Jim, what's going on now?
Well, actually, they've just taken a break, Kelly, and what's happening now is they're trying to reschedule and figure out what's left here. At the end of the defense case, it gets kind of complicated because they're running down to the end of their witness list. In fact, they used the end of their witness list, as far as we knew, with their last witness today. However, they're now trying to add a couple of more, but there may have to be hearings before those witnesses take place. Mark Furman, of course, is the big event that happened this afternoon. Just about 4 o'clock, he came on the stand, as you saw here on Channel 4 News, without the jury present. Very important. The jury has not seen Mark Furman since he testified back in March that he didn't use the N-word. Today he came back and he was asked 3 questions, as you say, including, did you in fact manufacture any evidence in this case? Mark Furman at that time said that I take my Fifth Amendment privilege at this time. He was advised to do so by his attorney. He did not answer any questions and advised the court that he would not answer any questions, no matter how many they asked. He apparently will not be called back at this point to be questioned in front of the jury. Mark Furman, as I say, appearing around 4 o'clock this afternoon to answer a series of questions. Let's look and see what happened here at 4 o'clock today.
Detective Furman, was the testimony that you gave at the preliminary hearing in this case completely truthful?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Have you ever falsified a police report?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Is it your intention to assert your Fifth Amendment privilege with respect to all questions that I ask you?
Yes.
So Mark Furman taking the Fifth Amendment while being asked by attorney for O.J. Simpson, Dean Ullman, whether or not he falsified any evidence in this case. Once again, the jury not present for this. This is in the context of a motion from the defense to suppress or to throw out any evidence Mark Furman found because he lied on the witness stand. Furman, of course, has been revealed as having lied on the witness stand when he said that he did not at any time use the N-word. There were tapes, of course, that have been played, testimony given that, in fact, he has used the N-word many times in the past 10 years. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Jim Avila. Now back to you, Chuck and Kelly.
Thanks, Jim. You know, one of the things is the jury. They were out this afternoon. Judge Ito sent them to a large conference room. But if you recall, Kelly, he said to them the last time he saw them, he said that he thought that this case might be winding up by Friday.
And earlier today, we heard that the defense could rest as early as today.
Right.
Now, Mark Furman has been excused, not dismissed. However, I think we have seen the last of Mark Furman in this trial.
But your heart's got to go out to the jury, and they don't know what's going on here. They just keep getting shuffled off
Just
to
like
a
the
conference
rest of
room.
us, really.
Right. Now, coming up on our newscast this afternoon, we're going to be telling you about Oprah Winfrey. You, of course, know she has the hottest talk show in the country, but now there are whispers that she may be saying farewell to her show. Well, we'll find out about that coming up.
Today at 5 on the Channel 4 News, a major clothing recall. The danger, garments catching fire. Dressed to kill, what you must know. Today at 5.
Imagine a dream machine that burns fat, tones muscles, improves flexibility, works your entire body to help you look and feel entirely better in just 20 minutes 3 times a week. The dream is a reality at Sears today with the Lifestyler Cardio Fit. Cardio Fit can burn more calories faster than treadmills or stair climbers because it works all your muscles at once. Adjust for a deep muscle workout or reduce tension to burn fat and increase cardiovascular endurance for a health club quality workout at home. It's quiet, compact, and unlike running in aerobics, it's no impact, easy on joints. Now imagine the price. $400, $500? Imagine this. $199.99, and Sears will be there to back it up. Trust Sears. We sell more units of exercise equipment than any other store. Call to learn about the Lifestyler Cardio Fit or come to Sears and try it for yourself.
I just got something I haven't had in 60 years. A raise in my allowance.
Care America 65 Plus introduces the $2,000 prescription allowance.
I remember the last raise. I got so excited I slugged Ralph Potter. Then I took him to the movies.
You can use up to $500 a quarter, $2,000 a year in prescription benefits.
That boy never forgave me. Did you, baby?
For more about the $2,000 allowance, call 1-800-408-1113.
That's rather personal. How much do you spend every year on long distance?
Could be a small fortune.
More than $1,000. How'd you like to get some of that back?
Certainement.
Say again?
What do I have to do?
Just get Sprint Cents International. Now, on top of simply great rates to countries around the world, you'll get cash back every year you're with Sprint, so it pays to stay.
Really fabulous to get cash back. I would call more often.
Oh, I'll go for a vacation.
Cash is good.
What are you going to do with the money you get back from Sprint?
Call for Sprint Cents International, now with cash back.
Why is Donald Trump so mad at this congressman?
He's a fat gnat, but he's a gnat.
Beyond the name-calling, hundreds of millions of your tax dollars are at stake. The fleecing of America, NBC Nightly News tonight.
It has been a banner year for Oprah Winfrey. She's looking better than she ever has. Her show is still #1, but now she is considering giving it all up. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of daytime television, and this has been perhaps her greatest year yet. At the beginning of last season, Oprah announced that she was changing the direction of her show. No more sleazy tabloid topics. She wanted the show to have a mission, and that mission was helping people. But now, as she embarks on the 10th season of The Oprah Winfrey Show, she says she is exhausted. In an interview with Good Housekeeping magazine, she says, quote, "There are moments, especially at the end of the season, when I'm tempted to quit because I am so tired." And today, a spokesman from her show told Channel 4 News, quote, "Within the month, Oprah Winfrey has to make a decision whether or not to exercise her option to continue her show after the 1995-96 season. She is still in the process of making that decision." So, what would Oprah do if she decides to quit? She says she would stay in television, but she'd work to create a different kind of show, something more along the lines of a weekly news magazine. That, she says, would give her a lot more time to pursue her first love, acting. And you know what? She's got enough money to do anything she wants to do for the rest of her life.
She can do anything
more.
she'd like to do.
Yeah.
Now, coming up in just a moment, the weather. But for that, let's take a look outside. Ooh, that's a nice picture. That's Venice Beach right there. Fritz will be up next with a look at the forecast.
And as the Southland sizzles, kids are headed back to school, and we've got some tips on how to keep your children cool.
Today at 5 on the Channel 4 News, O.J. Simpson's toughest call. Should he take the witness stand and tell the jury his side of the story? Now the decision may be made. O.J.'s next move at 5. Then a brutal slaughter. 5 family members shot dead in their Southland home. Now why it may be linked to more killings up and down the Golden State Freeway. Plus a major clothing recall. The danger, garments that burst into flames. Are you dressed to kill? What you must know today at 5 on the Channel 4 News.
Welcome to a circus of excitement where thrill rides, midway games, live circus acts, and great food are a Las Vegas tradition. Run away and join the circus for $21 now through December. Call 1-800-444-2472.
Whatever it is you like to do, you'll find it right here at the circus where there's something just for you.
It was pouring. My car started to slide and skid. I jumped out to see that the tire was flat. I didn't know where I was. I said, yikes, what am I gonna do? I called AAA.
It's not a flat tire, it's not a jump start. It's a person out there.
I described some local landmarks to the dispatcher. So then the tow truck driver shows up in this yellow suit and says, "Are you Lydia?"
We live where our members live, so we know the area.
Dispatched locally to find you fast. AAA, we're always with you.
Soon you may have something better to wake up to.
You're a winner in the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes.
Because starting September 21st, the Prize Patrol will wake up a new winner every morning for a month.
And I don't look good. Oh, let me get my shoes.
That's 30 winners in 30 days.
Oh, my goodness.
With prizes up to $100,000.
I never won anything in my life.
Enter today and you could wake up a winner.
Come here.
Norm's Restaurants, bigger, better breakfast. You get bacon, sausages, ham and eggs with hash browns and hotcakes, only $2.99. Weekdays at all Norm's Restaurants.
An extra exclusive, never-before-seen footage of O.J. Simpson's private moments.
Justin cuts cakes with O.J.
Get a rare glimpse as O.J.'s brother shares memories from a happier time. Then, recognize this musketeer? Annette! Annette Funicello. She's gone through so much pain. Now America's sweetheart is in the role of a lifetime, literally.
And it keeps me going.
Go behind the scenes as she reveals what it's like playing herself. The story's only on Extra.
Tonight at 7, here on NBC4.
Now, I'm going to apologize to Fritz beforehand, because if something happens down at the courthouse, obviously, yeah, we're going to switch down there.
I know the defense attorneys may make an exit soon, and they'll want to maybe hold a press conference, and we'll be ready to bail.
Or the prosecutor.
You'll get some weather sometime this week. And there's no change anyway. It's not going to cool off till Halloween, so what's the problem? Let's go outside to the Venice Beach Camp, folks. We do want to talk about tropical moisture coming up and causing some mountain and desert thunderstorms. Pretty active day. The old Venice Beach Camp, always a cooling thought this time of the afternoon. Here are the numbers to show you tonight. We had a high today of 96 and a low 67. 94 degrees right now, relative humidity 26%, barometer 29.95 inches and falling. We have Burbank Airport winds south at 12 miles an hour. Almanac stats to show you. First, the latest on Hurricane Luis. It is almost miraculous the turns that have happened in this hurricane's life over the last 24 hours. Right now centered about 140 miles north-northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Winds are still 125 miles an hour. Movement is still northwest at about 10 miles an hour. The good news is that tomorrow this thing's going to take even more of a northerly turn, sweeping it away and parallel to the eastern seaboard. There's weather along the eastern seaboard which will shunt this back out into the water. So this is one of the most dangerous close calls of the entire active season. Still, the news is not finished for the Caribbean. 4 to 8 inches of rain could happen anywhere from Antigua to Puerto Rico. So the news is not finished from down there in that very warm Caribbean water. For us, only minor changes through the beginning of next week. I know that hurts your ears to hear me say that, but it's absolutely true. The main weather feature, the tropical moisture, the southerly flow of moist, unstable tropical air coming up into our area. Mountain and desert thunderstorms have already erupted this afternoon. Showers and thunder showers have evolved over the last hour or so from 25 miles south of San Jacinto Range to the Joshua Tree National Monument. There could be more this afternoon. So the general menu for the next couple of days, generally the same until the weekend. Minor cooling Saturday and Sunday, but not permanent cooling. Monsoonal flow, thunderstorms possible any day, including tomorrow. Let's get a look at the air quality, folks. We'll have unhealthful smog levels inland as we've had for the last several days, no better than moderate smog wherever we go. Overnight tonight will range from the upper 60s to the low and mid 70s. Daytime highs tomorrow. Again, we're going to be pushing 100. Still some of the warmer valley spots over 100. The Santa Clarita Valley 102. And the Inland Empire about 101, and even 80 down in Manhattan Beach. Here is the 5-day forecast for you. Little or no marine layer to speak of. And look at this series of relentlessly hot days. I'm sorry to tell you, but I do want to say that this is the time of year when we break records. They're always extreme. It's the time of year when we have a couple of heat waves, so they're just melding together.
We
That's
love
what's
it
happening.
when you apologize. You're so sincere.
I've been doing it a lot lately.
It's true.
We'll be back later with the Fritz Report and Freddie.
All right, Fritzer, thank you. Now, Monica Seles actually had a hard day on the job for the first time in a few years. We'll have an update on the man who hasn't missed a day on his job in 13 years. Cal Ripken Jr. becomes the senior Ironman. And what about this guy? You will meet perhaps the luckiest fan in baseball history. He's a part of history after what happened last night.
And here's a strange one. A family discovers $500,000 in a bank account when their mother dies, only to have the bank decide, hey, guess what? It's not yours after all. Sound confusing? We'll explain.
But first, inside the courtroom for one of the most explosive days of testimony in the O.J. Simpson trial, we'll take another first-hand look at this day in court next.
Today at 5 on the Channel 4 News, a major clothing recall. The danger, garments catching fire. Dressed to kill, what you must know. Today at 5.
Join tens of thousands of caring people for AIDS Walk Los Angeles.
Sunday, September 17th. To register for this 10K walkathon, call 466-WALK, benefiting AIDS Project Los Angeles.
Your Oldsmobile retailers haven't seen you all summer. They think you really need to get out more. So they've put together a special limited-time lease offer on the 88, the only full-size car named a Consumer's Digest Best Buy 5 years in a row. Well, you've heard the old saying, never put off till tomorrow the luxury car you can lease today. It's your money.
A good seal is hard to find, and only one seal has the strength of Reynolds in a plastic wrap. Reynolds Plastic Wrap, the one that stretches to seal stronger, seal longer than any other premium wrap. Reynolds Plastic Wrap. Seals stronger, seals longer.
Now, Chuck Henry, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports. Live in Southern California, the Channel 4 News at 4:30.
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
A sharp turn in the O.J. Simpson case as Detective Mark Furman takes the stand and refuses to deny that he planted evidence in the case. Instead, he exercises his constitutional right not to incriminate himself. Good afternoon once again. It is 4:30. I'm Kelly Lang.
And I'm Chuck Henry, and there you had it, our top story at 4:30. Once again, we have been watching as Mark Fuhrman was called to the stand and said absolutely nothing. Now to the infamous interview tapes. He had no response to those. The jury has heard just one excerpt from those tapes, but many think that those tapes should be allowed. More people should be allowed to hear them, especially the jury. Well, today, two separate rallies outside the courthouse to protest Judge Lant Ito's ruling to restrict those audio tapes. Tracy Savage is live at the courthouse with more on that. Tracy?
Well, Chuck, both of those protest rallies were very peaceful but very, very noisy. Protesters in both of the rallies came down here to express their anger over Judge Ito's ruling concerning the Fuhrman tapes and also to ask the judge to reconsider. Chanting and carrying signs, the first group of protesters were out marching this morning before defense attorneys even arrived at court. The 30-minute rally, organized by Mothers in Action and the Brotherhood Crusade, was directed at one person.
Judge Ito, we are calling upon you to treat the jurors of the Simpson case, African Americans, and the world at large with the dignity and respect we all deserve.
They say it's unfair that Judge Ito is only allowing the jury to hear just 2 of the 41 excerpts from the Fuhrman tapes. They find Ito's ruling insulting.
And people talk about healing, but how can we heal when we get rulings like this?
To suggest that African Americans who make up the majority of this jury cannot listen to those tapes and make an intelligent decision is insulting to all of us.
Now is the time for justice. Now is the time for that which is right.
A few hours later, another rally, this one organized by the NAACP. Different people, but similar feelings. Judge Ito, they say, is wrong.
To say that the defense theory requires a leap in logic and law is to continue the denial of the existence of the very code of silence which Mark Fuhrman acknowledges.
Ito must go! Ito must go!
The noon rally began on the steps of City Hall. The protesters then marched around the criminal courts building. And we're back here live. Again, the protesters asked Judge Ito to reconsider his ruling and end what they call a cover-up. Reporting live, I'm Tracy Savage. Now back to you. Kelly?
All right, thanks very much for that, Tracy. Meantime, in court today, Detective Mark Fuhrman at the center of controversy again, big time, after hearing from a fourth witness testifying about his racist past. The detective himself took the stand. Now, our Manny Medrano, our legal analyst, is here to fill us in on all the details. And we talked about Mark Fuhrman exercising his right to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Explain exactly how that works in light of perhaps a perjury trial for him.
Well, first of all, let me say that Perry Mason has nothing on the O.J. Simpson case.
Really?
It's truly amazing. Melodrama at its best today. The bottom line is this. Detective Mark Fuhrman decided to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination because he has hanging over his head the specter of perjury charges. Now, under California law, that exposes one to a term of 2 to 4 years in the state penitentiary. So, in light of that specter hanging out there, remember, this is reminiscent of Al Cowlings, who refused to testify in the O.J. Simpson case because the DA's office said they were not sure if he would be prosecuted. So the bottom line is, with the specter of those charges hanging out there, he has no choice but to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination.
Let's follow up on this just a moment. You indicated that it will be then the district attorney's office that will decide whether or not they're going to file charges against Detective Fuhrman. What is the likelihood of that?
Well, it's funny you asked that. In my 10 years at the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosecutor, we never a single time filed perjury charges against anybody. And to my knowledge, I've never heard of the DA's office doing that. And the main reason is when you consider the resources or the lack thereof that the prosecutors have, they just don't devote resources to a perjury case when you have rape, murder, and other serious charges out there. So when you stand back, legally, it's rarely done, but then politics are very much involved in this case, and you might have an exception when it comes to Detective Mark Fuhrman.
Right, because this is unlike any other case.
It's one of a kind.
Any of us has ever seen. Thanks a lot, Manny.
Thanks, Manny. Let's give you a brief summary now in case you missed any of it. Some of the important details today in the Simpson trial. Just a short time ago, Detective Mark Furman was recalled to the witness stand. He refused to answer any questions, asserting his Fifth Amendment right against incriminating himself. The jury was not present to hear Mark Furman on the stand, but they did hear testimony today from 2 other witnesses. Now the defense lawyers will continue their fight to have evidence seized at Simpson's estate thrown out of the trial. Kelly?
All right, and it is a frightening thought. This is moving on to a different subject now. 500 pounds of dynamite in the wrong hands, and that is exactly where it is this afternoon. Normally, explosives are used here at this rock quarry in Canyon Country. They're used to blow up huge rocks into smaller pieces, but now an enormous cache of that dynamite is missing. It is stolen, and our Patrick Healy is live at that rock quarry right now with the latest on the search for this TNT. Patrick, this is very scary.
Certainly is, Kelly and Chuck. The Sheriff's Arson Explosives Unit has an investigator on this full-time. No ID yet of who has the dangerous explosives stolen from this quarry, but it's believed the motive was profit, not terrorism, that whoever did this knew what they were doing. Southeast of Santa Clarita, in a canyon at the end of a dirt road, the Gillibrand quarry uses explosives to blast rock from the San Gabriel Mountains. The explosives were kept in a locked storage area, but apparently sometime between 10 p.m. Monday and 5 a.m. Tuesday, thieves broke in. Sheriff's Deputy Kerry Stewart.
The suspects apparently pried open the storage area and took 9 cases of extremely dangerous high explosives from the location. Each of the boxes contains approximately 55 pounds of high explosives, totaling approximately 495 pounds of explosives.
The Iramite Dino explosives were in cardboard boxes, 9 of them marked Dino explosives. To give you some idea of its power, consider what was done in Malibu Canyon last winter, a deliberate blast to remove a precarious boulder. That was 400 pounds. 500 pounds are now missing.
Technicians can't stress the importance or the danger of these explosives enough, and they're asking the public, if anyone sees these boxes, not to touch them, but to notify their local law enforcement agency or the Sheriff's Department arson explosive technicians immediately.
At Gillibrand today, operations continued, but information about the theft was being kept close to the vest. One employee explained that the owner does not want to advertise what's up here. Of course, with or without advertising, one group of thieves already found out. Now, another point to stress, at this point, there is no evidence that whoever took this did so for terrorist purposes. No evidence of that. Investigators believe it was probably taken to be sold for profit on the black market. Now, federal investigators from the ATF are being kept apprised of the investigation by the Sheriff's Department, but at this point, federal agents are not actively involved in the investigation. And again, the caution from authorities, if you see these explosives, keep your distance, contact the Sheriff's Department. Live in Canyon Country, Patrick Healy, Channel 4 News. Chuck and Kelly.
Thanks, Patrick. That is a scary situation out there. Coming up in just a moment, we've got Dr. Bruce Henselin for your health.
Yes, he has yet more evidence on the highly beneficial properties of the simple aspirin.
Today at 5 on the Channel 4 News, O.J. Simpson's toughest call. Should he take the witness stand and tell the jury his side of the story? Now the decision may be made. O.J.'s next move at 5. Then a brutal slaughter. 5 family members shot dead in their Southland home. Now why it may be linked to more killings up and down the Golden State Freeway. Plus a major clothing recall. The danger, garments that burst into flames. Are you dressed to kill? What you must know today at 5 on the Channel 4 News.
They grow up so fast, in a heartbeat, the moment is past.
I wish my little girl could stay 4 years old forever.
That smile is like a treasure, hold on to it forever.
But she's not going to. So I'm going to take lots of pictures, and I'm going to take my film to Walmart every time, because I know they're going to do a good job. And besides, I'm going to be there anyway.
Save on pictures where you save on film. Always low prices, always Walmart.
For excitement, for entertainment, for recreation, for fun. Dial 1-800-4-LAUGHLIN, 1-800-4-LAUGHLIN for free information on the value-packed action waiting for you on the Colorado River in Laughlin, Nevada. 1-800-452-8.
We're going to go live down to the criminal court's house. Right now, we have the defense attorneys outside. They're holding a press conference. Here's Robert Shapiro.
Day one, who has consistently maintained his innocence in this case, an innocence in which each and every one of us on the defense team firmly believe. And today you saw an unprecedented event. You saw a lead detective who is the person responsible for discovering the majority of the evidence in this case, refused to answer questions on the grounds that the answers that he may give would tend to incriminate him. It's unprecedented in the history of jurisprudence. Johnny?
Certainly. Good afternoon. I'd just like to say the following. We just all came down from meeting with O.J. Simpson. And for those who have said this is the Mark Fuhrman trial, I want to make it abundantly clear. O.J. Simpson is the one who's still in custody 15 or 16 months after his arrest for crimes that he did not commit. We've said all along that in America, the American way is to wait until the end of the case. At the beginning of the presentation of our case, all of you will recall, the prosecutors had a press conference, and they said to me in a gleeful way, "Now, Johnny, put up or shut up." We don't engage in those kind of games, but I want them to be mindful of the fact that the defense has more than put up. We have demonstrated throughout our case that we have an innocent client wrongfully accused. And so as we left to come down here, O.J. Simpson had tears in his eyes as he thought about the juxtaposition of the various parties here. A lead detective who claims the Fifth Amendment on at least 3 questions today and would on every question. The most salient of those questions was, did you plant evidence in this case? He refused to answer that question on the grounds it might tend to incriminate him. What more does anyone need out there to understand that we have now demonstrated this man had motive, he had opportunity, and now he's claimed the Fifth Amendment out of his own mouths. So those of you who don't want to believe need to reevaluate your consciences and look at this, because the American way is to be fair until the entire trial is heard. And remember that it's Mr. Simpson who can't go home. Mr. Fuhrman will be on a plane soon back to Idaho. Mr. Simpson is still here, still fighting for his life because of the conduct of this officer and others in this case. We'll continue to fight. We are not gloating. What we're saying is that this is a very, very serious day for justice, not only in this county, but in America. We've seen a lot of things. We've never seen anything like this. And the last thing I want to say is that you see us all here because despite what people want to say, we are united in our resolve about the innocence of our client, and you are going to see us fight till the very end, and we trust this jury tomorrow will hear something about what this lead detective has done. And make no mistake about it, he's a lead detective. And make no mistake about it, those of you who thought he wouldn't claim the Fifth Amendment, he has now done that. You saw it with your own eyes. If you didn't see it, look at the videotape. It'll still be the same thing day in and day out forever. And we're going to move forward on this case now and try to get what we think is a richly deserved acquittal. We're taking no questions today because we've got to go to work. And so thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, very, very interesting. Johnny Cochran and
Robert Shapiro speaking
trying
for
the
defense.
case really on the
Right.
courthouse steps for the American public. It's very interesting that he's passionately, putting their own spin on it.
We should probably note to you that the prosecution generally does not come down and hold impromptu. Yeah, they have a few times, but generally they don't do that. And also that, as he was mentioning about Mark Fuhrman being the lead detective, probably Detective Lang and Van Adder
they were the lead
would
detectives.
probably have something to say about that because officially they were the lead detectives. But as you can see, it was a very emotional day in the Simpson courtroom today.
Well, that was the passion from Johnny Cochran. Yep. He also said that Mark Fuhrman has discovered the majority of the evidence in this case. I don't know if that's the case as well. But it's interesting, these men and women, this dream team is out there fighting and fighting hard. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting day in court. We'll take right now we're going to go up to Paul Moyer in the newsroom with a look at what's coming up on the Channel 4 News at 5 o'clock. Paul.
All right, Kelly, we're going to add some things to the story. At 5 o'clock, the tug-of-war over former Detective Mark Fuhrman. You were talking about that. His decision to refuse to testify to take the Fifth, his decision to take the Fifth Amendment. Also, what about the defendant? Will O.J. Simpson eventually take the stand in this case? His attorneys are signaling what they've decided. We'll tell you what it is at 5 o'clock. Also, dangerous clothes, full details on a national recall for some women's clothes that are a fire hazard. Plus, the FBI killed his wife and his son. Now he's gone to Congress to demand some answers. His story and all the news when I join Colleen Williams tonight at 5 o'clock. We'll see you then. Chuck and Kelly, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll see you very soon, Paul. And Fred Rogan is up next. And by our calculations, a record is in the making in Baltimore. So Fred will have the latest on Cal Ripken Jr. reaching a phenomenal milestone.
Then it's Move Over Ninja Turtles, and Barney, it's Garbage Day. That and other childhood delights on the Fritz Report.
Today at 5 on the Channel 4 News, a major clothing recall. The danger, garments catching fire. Dressed to kill, what you must know. Today at 5.
Hello, America. Remember me? I am Alice Scott, and I lost 37 pounds on Jenny Craig. It takes action. I had to act. Are you happy with your weight? Are you bumping your head up against the wall? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Go ahead and give Jenny Craig a call today. Results start the minute you do.
Start Jenny Craig now and you can lose 20 pounds for $20. Call 1-800-39-JENNY. That's 1-800-39-JENNY. Why wait another day?
Pick up that phone and call this number. You see it. You see it.
For hours, looking down at us, drifting. Opium. I'm watching us. I'm a man. You're a woman. It's our secret, but you're wearing it. Opium. For those who adore Yves Saint Laurent.
Indulge in the secret fascinations of opium. This 4-piece gift of $32 value is yours with any opium purchase of $40 or more. Available now at the Broadway.
Lunchtime at the Fast Food Circus. It starts with the Grand Parade. Witness amazing stunts and spectacular balancing acts. Roar at the antics of the clowns.
Order, please.
Burger, fries.
Cherry pies?
No fries.
Pies?
At Denny's,
Fries.
we serve lunch without the sideshow for $2.99 every day. New $2.99 lunch basket. Golden fried shrimp, tender chicken pita, or juicy burger served tableside, not ringside.
How many pies?
New $2.99 lunch baskets every day at Denny's. And of course, the Grand Slam is just $1.99 every day.
Here we're all talking about what's going on in the O.J. Simpson courtroom, but in sports, a very big event today.
Indeed, history being made in Baltimore as we speak. The man who hasn't missed a day of work since May 30th, 1982, on the verge of breaking a record everyone believed to be unbreakable. The Orioles' Cal Ripken Jr. becoming baseball's new Iron Man, passing Lou Gehrig. Ripken is now playing in his 2,131st consecutive game against the Angels. Last night in the Orioles' 8-0 win over the Angels, Ripken played in game number 2,130, tying Gehrig's mark. But Ripken didn't just show up. He went 3 for 5, including a home run in the 6th. Now, the fan who lucked out and got the ball was escorted out of the park for his own protection. 32-year-old carpenter Mike Stern of Sykesville, Maryland, refused a $2,500 offer for the souvenir from the Orioles. He says he's going to keep the ball for now.
I wanted one of these balls. They were sold out. I thought Chris was going to hit another one out there. And then Cal sent one out there, and it was about 5 or 6 rows over, and it just bounced my way, and I grabbed the ball.
Stern will make one exception to give up the ball. He is willing to negotiate with Ripken if Cal wants it. Cal was asked that after the game. How important is the ball to him?
I have the feeling inside. I actually had the opportunity to run around the bases and do it and hit the home run. So, I mean, I have that already inside. That's instilled inside of me. I don't need a baseball to remind me of that. But it's always nice. I mean, mementos and physical objects, you know, at times when you pick it up, you get the feel of it. It makes you feel it all over again. And it would be nice to have it, yes.
Ripken's record becomes official once the game gets to the bottom of the 5th inning. The game is just underway. We will have updates at 5 and 6. Perhaps Cal could sign a jersey and give it to him. In return, the fan would give him the ball. But it always comes down to money.
Really? But what a nice guy.
Well, that's going to be worth some
But
money.
Cal?
Yeah,
He's a great guy.
Huh?
I'm not so sure about the other guy, but Cal's all right.
Really.
All right, Fritzer.
Excellent job, Freddie. Now, time, folks, for the Fritz Report. Today, for the second time in 1 week, we have a giant kielbasa. You're so lucky.
Oh, great.
Strange but true, another giant kielbasa. This one being made in Springfield, Massachusetts. It weighs about 600 pounds. Not as big as the 1,500-pound kielbasa we had on Monday. However, once again, we do it just to tweak our friend Paul Moyer, recovering from heart surgery, showing him what he's leaving behind on his road to circulatory health. Get a good look at this, Paul. Now it's time to give out another one of our famous Get a Life Award. These people in Kansas are having a garage sale. Only instead of having it in the driveway like normal people, theirs has grown to cover 5 acres. Can you imagine how irritating it would be to have neighbors like this? People, we admire your ambition, your enterprising spirit. Get a life, though. Please don't do this every Sunday. Now, tired of the Ninja Turtles and Barney? Here's a new video for kids, and they love it. It's called Garbage Day, and it's a whole video with nothing but garbage collectors at work. I'm telling you, little kids love it. Watch this stuff. If you don't believe me, just play it for a 2-year-old. They can't take their eyes off of it. It's like Fred Rogan watching Chuck Henry's travel show.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. All right, crank up the volume. Take a guess at this, Fred.
We had this already, didn't we?
Well, I was just trying it. It's Jim Dandy to the rescue, and it's Black Oak, Arkansas. I just wanted to give you a second
We had
shot.
this already, right.
So
Fred blows it every day.
send in your home videos of your pets, whatever you have for us, to the Fritz Report, care of me, right here at Channel 4. More tomorrow, folks.
He says
Thanks
Les
for watching.
Brown and his band of renown.
I was just giving him a second day to reprieve.
I guess.
I'm on a
Okay.
warp, I don't
Thank you
know.
very much.
Good.
Lots of fun. Hey, we got Bruce Hensel coming up next. He's going to tell us how to eat that sausage, Fritz, and still stay healthy.
Tonight at 7:30, complete coverage of the day in court. O.J. Simpson, the trial. Screenwriter Laura McKinney, under pressure.
Why are we having this adversarial relationship?
Did the prosecution go too far? Colleen Williams and the Channel 4 News team with analysis. And the defense team scores with surprise testimony.
What did you mean when you talked about cover-up?
Plus, the jury demands time with Judge Ito. Phil Schumann investigates the closed-door meeting. O.J. Simpson, the trial. Tonight at 7:30, only on NBC4.
Here I am, 65. Don't have to wear those starched shirts anymore. I can come and go as I please. I can see an R-rated movie. I'll never be late for work. I'll never have acne again either. And for the first time, my garden will have more tomatoes in it than weeds. Now, I can be stubborn and opinionated, but no one will ever point it out. I think finally I'm gonna look good in one of those hats with the small brim.
With age comes certain advantages. Quality healthcare should be one of them. Introducing Kaiser Permanente Senior Advantage, a healthcare plan for Medicare beneficiaries with everything you want, like $5 doctor visits, and nothing you don't, like premiums and deductibles. You're even covered for dental, prescriptions, and eyeglasses.
Gonna take a little while before I get this thing down.
Kaiser Permanente Senior Advantage. For a free enrollment package with no obligation, call 1-800-203-4405.
If you want relief from minor arthritis pain, turn up the heat on arthritis. Just minutes after applying Ultra Strength Bengay, you can actually see the heat. It's the strongest, most advanced Bengay ever, with the heating power of 3 pain relievers. So turn up the heat on arthritis.
Ma, if you can't sleep, take a Unisom. It helped last time. It's not habit forming. Ma, it's okay to help yourself get a good night's sleep. All right? I love you too.
Richard Gere. He says success didn't bring him happiness, so he's changing the way he lives. Could his secret to happiness work for you? Watch a special First Person with Maria Shriver tonight.
Well, some good news tonight about aspirin. Researchers now say the drug's anti-cancer effects may be useful against more types of cancers than first thought. Our medical editor, Dr. Bruce Hensel, has more on that and all the medical news for your health. Bruce?
That's right, Chuck. It's true. The latest research suggests aspirin in the smallest dose may help prevent intestinal cancer for women. Now, the study isn't perfect, but some people are saying it's proof. Aspirin is the true magic bullet of medicines. Aspirin lowers fever and helps the body get rid of pain and inflammation. A study in the latest New England Journal of Medicine says it may protect women from lower intestinal cancer as well. Now, aspirin may treat pain because of its effects on something called prostaglandins in our bodies. The results of the study may come from the way aspirin works on a completely different bodily chemical. UCLA's Dr. Randy Hecht is currently studying intestinal cancer.
It inhibits an enzyme. This enzyme actually is very important in making chemicals that are important in inflammation and may be important in causing cancer.
Although that may be only part of the explanation, the study results are clear. Women who took 2 or more aspirins per week for 10 years had a 30% decreased risk of colorectal cancer. Women who took it for 20 years had a 44% decreased risk. There are some limitations you should know about. 4 years of aspirin did not decrease the risk, and aspirin is a two-edged sword. Other studies show it can irritate your stomach and cause problems with ulcers. But experts say Further research may turn all these findings to our advantage.
There may be a way to design or aspirin that does not cause stomach upset, or aspirin-like drugs that do not cause stomach upset or ulcers, but may also still be effective in arthritis or in preventing cancer.
Now, this is very hopeful news, and aspirin may make a major difference for some people who take it over more than 10 years. While more studies are done, women and men should not start aspirin on their own, and everyone should get a regular intestinal cancer screening exam. Discuss these tests and the use of aspirin with your own doctor. Back to you in the studio.
Always good advice. Thanks, Bruce. And that wraps it up for us at 4. Kelly?
And we thank you for making us your choice for news at 4 o'clock. And the news continues now on a very, very big news day at 5 o'clock with Paul Moyer and Colleen Williams. Paul.
It sure is, Kelly and Chuck. Thank you. We'll take it right here. Up next tonight, he could be the pivotal witness in the O.J. Simpson trial. He is refusing to answer any questions. Former Detective Mark Furman takes the fifth. What this means to the O.J. Simpson trial coming up next. Also, growing anger over those Furman tapes, a protest that claims that Judge Ito was doing the wrong thing. Also tonight, a warning about women's clothes that can be dangerous. And the woman arrested with actor Hugh Grant gets ready to go to jail. The Channel 4 News at 5 begins right now.
Now, Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, live in Southern California. The Channel 4 News at 5.